Even now, when my friends joke about me being cream of chicken in the wintertime, I always think to myself, well, in the summertime, baby, I'm gonna get this tan. I'm gonna be golden honey peach. Like, the idea of being darker has always appealed to me. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Let Me Just Say This. If you don't know me, my name is Naya, and if you have been here for a while, then you already know the deal. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. I really hope that life is treating you well, and if it is not, you already know what to do. Bring it in. Come here, give me a hug. It'll be okay, baby. Don't worry, everything's gonna work out. Okay? All right. Now, if you are new here, hello. Welcome to the vibe. Welcome to the tribe. Go ahead and subscribe because you are going to love it here. I promise. I pinky promise. Okay? I really do hope you guys are doing so good. I know Big Mama has been late. I am late this week. I know. Part of the reason has absolutely been that I've been dragging my feet on this topic. Very nervous about today's topic. And that's not like me. Y'all know I get on here and talk about everything from the man I'm hunching on to politics, and I be unapologetically raw with y'all. But today's topic, I have an opinion, and it has to do with colorism, pretty privilege, light skin privilege. That's what we're talking today. I've been wanting to have this conversation with you guys and talk about this for a minute now, and I've talked about it in the past, but in the past few weeks there has been some discourse online, and I want to give my 2 cents. It makes me nervous because I understand that I'm coming from the perspective of a light-skinned woman, but I just want to share my Black experience with you guys as a light-skinned woman, these opinions, and y'all know me, I'm real biggity Black like that, so it's not going to be anything crazy or wild, but I do feel like these are not the type of messages that people want to hear from people that look like me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to hear about light skin privilege from the light skinned girl. And I recognize and I know that there are some opinions that I may have that others may not share. And so it's making me nervous, but we're going to go ahead and get right on into it. I actually have an outline today to make sure I stay on track. And if you're watching, which you should on the YouTube channel, go over there and subscribe. And if you are here, hey honey, nice to see you. I have my robe on because it is literally after midnight. I definitely got cussed out for not putting the episode out on time, and I'm sorry. I got cussed out by 2 different people, and one of them is somebody I don't even like that. So with all that being said, here we are after midnight. I also have my tea with me tonight. Y'all know what time it is. Get you some tea in my cute little mug, and 'tis the season. 'Tis the season. Halloween is coming up. And if you can't see the mug, you should be watching the video, girl. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into today's topic. First and foremost, we're gonna just give some definitions off. I don't want to give a full history lesson for the girls, okay? Because if you're here, then most likely you already are aware of these things, but I understand that they're trying to wash away our history. They're trying to wash away these topics in America because why people so damn scared all the time. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, we're going to define colorism, light skin privilege, and pretty privilege before we even get started, okay? So, colorism is, and this is coming from dictionary.com, okay? Colorism is defined as prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a dark skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group. And I really want us to chew on that last part. Typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group. So today we are specifically talking about colorism within the Black diaspora, the Black community, and even more specifically, the Black American community, okay? The community that spent the longest time in slavery and has had the deepest impact of this issue. So in my opinion. Now moving on to light skin privilege, this is defined as a form of colorism, okay? Where individuals with lighter skin tones receive preferential treatment and advantages within society, including from members of their own racial group. Again, this is happening within our ethnic group, within our ethnic community, okay? Light skin privilege, though, is one that can be felt from outside, even though it is a subset of colorism. The last definition we have is pretty privilege. And this can apply to anybody. I'm going to give a very specific opinion on pretty privilege in a second, but pretty privilege is defined as the unearned societal advantage given to people deemed conventionally attractive. And I really want us to chew on conventionally attractive and what that means in a post-slavery society, okay? Okay, chew on that, all right? This definition expounds a little bit and says this can lead to more opportunities and benefits in areas like careers, social life, and dating. Okay, now I've spoken about pretty privilege actually fairly recently. I want to say I spoke about pretty privilege, maybe not this season, maybe last season. And I spoke about colorism a while ago, a very long time ago. I want to get this opinion out there up front, okay? As a light skinned African American woman, okay, who claims pretty privilege, I can absolutely say that pretty privilege does not exist in the same way for Black people without colorism, without light skin privilege. In our community, there is no such thing as pretty privilege without light skin privilege. There's no such thing for Black people. There's no such thing as pretty privilege without colorism. That's just what it is. When you think about pretty privilege, what image pops into your mind? What does she look like? Especially for Black people. What does she look like to you? Majority of the time, it is not a woman that looks, dark skin, dark eyes, dark, curly, coily hair. That's not the immediate image. Even though that may be the immediate image of a woman that is beautiful to you, it may not be the immediate image of a woman that has pretty privilege to you. And that has everything to do with light skin privilege and colorism. And there's no way around that at all. And so for light skinned women who claim pretty privilege, inherently you are also claiming light skin privilege. And if you don't understand the nuance of that light skin privilege, okay, then inherently you will use your pretty privilege in a negative way. I feel, as we all should know, light skin privilege, colorism stems back to slavery. It stems back to Jim Crow, paper bag tests. It stems back to this proximity to whiteness that really meant life or death. It really meant more opportunity or none at all. And we see it even when Sinners, the movie Sinners, we see the character Mary and Stack and how Mary chooses to pass as white. Stack encourages that so that she can have a better life, even though this is a mixed race woman. This, with all intents and purposes, is a Black woman, right? Who could claim Blackness, but chooses to claim whiteness because that proximity to whiteness means safety. And also, the lady is beautiful. So she not only has a proximity to whiteness, but she also has a proximity to pretty privilege in a way that just because you're white doesn't mean you're pretty. Just because you're light doesn't mean you're pretty. But inherently, she's got both going for her. Realistically, really, honestly. In the Black community, there's this thing that is said often, and this gets me into what sparked this. I'm going to share a TikTok with you guys that I saw, and I'm going to share some of the comments. This gets me into something that I've heard ever since I was a little girl. And it's, you think you cute because you light skin. You think you pretty because you light skin. You think you're better than me because you're light skin. And most often it wasn't from people that weren't my race, obviously. It was from most often other little Black girls. And it was from Black girls that were darker than me, that did not look like me, and did not resonate with me as another little Black girl because of colorism and the impact that that had on us growing up, and the impact that pretty privilege associated with light skin privilege had on their self-esteem as well as mine. And on TikTok, a lady had shared her opinions, and the main running theme was, you're not actually pretty, you're just light skin. And I have so many choice thoughts, but before we get into that, let me share this TikTok with you.
Pretty privilege is real. It is. I said the shit. It's real. I have seen people gravitate towards me, and then all of a sudden, compliment me on my eyes, my skin color, my hair, whatever. Right? So it's real. People do actually, I guess, treat me differently because of it. Now, because of it, the different treatment is not always good. Okay? Sometimes the treatment is negative and it's bad. So because of the color of my skin, because of the color of my eyes, because of my hair texture, I get hated on. So I'm gonna need you people who hate on people who are pretty to at least take into consideration that we getting it out here. We already getting it. We don't need it from you as well. For real. Give us a break. I mean, be mad at moms and dad. Huh? We didn't do it. We didn't ask to be put here to look like this, okay? whatever we was mixed up with, it's here, and we didn't have anything to do with it.
As I talk about this, I'm going to scroll through some of these comments that I'm seeing on TikTok, and it is Black women sharing, and darker skinned Black women sharing pictures of themselves. Comments berating this woman's appearance and saying things negative about her, and just giving their own opinions on what she had to say. I have a lot of choice feelings about this because, for one, I 1000% understand what the women in the comments are where they're coming from. Like, of course I get it. I get it. However, I hate the way that they're going about it. And it does kind of, and I really hate to say this because I know some people are going to tell me, "Oh, Naya, you're being biased or you're triggered because you're light skinned." Like, it does remind me of what it was like growing up and having people go out of their way to tell me, "Yo, you're not pretty. You're just light skinned. That's the only reason why people like you, or that's the only reason why this, that, and the third." And it was hurtful. It was absolutely harmful. I think the conversation that we have with light skinned women when it comes to them claiming pretty privilege, but not necessarily conflating it with colorism, has to be handled better, because oftentimes it's other women, other Black women telling this woman, "No, you're just benefiting from colorism. You're not actually pretty." And then they say all these things to berate her and put her down. I'm like, damn, do we also have to call the lady ugly? We didn't have to call the lady ugly. We could have educated the lady, but we also didn't have to say, "Oh, you think because you got light eyes you cuter than me? Girl, I'm cuter than you. Look at me and my beautiful Black amazing skin." And yes, it is beautiful and it's Black and it is amazing, but I hate the divide that it causes between us. It actually really hurts my heart. It's something that I hold really dear to me. Um, I think that, of course, this is a big issue in our community, and it's a big issue in every community of the diaspora, and it's the residuals of what we have gone through as a people, and it's the residuals of what we see on social media. You know, most of the things that we see on social media involve colorism and pretty privilege. You go on a teenage girl's TikTok, and it's going to be a bunch of girls who probably don't look like her, who look racially ambiguous, who are lighter skinned, who are getting all of this attention. The more exotic looking girls, the girls who are more palatable, right? There was a time where lighter skinned women were favored in music videos before rappers like Kendrick Lamar decided to instead, cast women that are darker skinned, that don't get as much attention, that don't get as much appreciation. There was a time when these things were on the forefront, I think more than today, but it's still prevalent today. And word on the street is Chris Brown still only lets light-skinned, racially ambiguous women into his section. So when I tell you colorism is alive and well, sometimes the club won't let you in if you too dark in some places, girl. Sometimes people say you can't wear that lipstick, your hair can't look that way, you can't wear that outfit, you're too dark. Girl, that's still a real thing. It's still very much so alive and well, and it's still being passed down to our daughters when we talk about, their hair and their eyes and how pretty certain girls are and how not pretty other girls are. Colorism even comes into play when we talk about the beauty of dark-skinned women, because why does a dark-skinned woman have to have this crazy deep milk chocolate, oiled up, buttered down, thick as fuck but little waist aesthetic in order to be beautiful? Why does it have to be that? That is also colorism. Now, I hate it for us. I genuinely hate it for us. It's very tiring. There's a lot of fatigue that comes with these debates because, of course, there are women. I think there are not as many women who conflate their light skinnedness with their pretty privilege than there are women who do. As a light skinned woman, I can admit that I have not always conflated my light skinnedness with pretty privilege. You know what I'm saying? I haven't always thought to myself, "Oh, people are treating me nicer because I am lighter skinned." I would sooner think to myself, "People are treating me nicer because I look nice. People are treating me nicer because I'm pretty." But I didn't always think, okay, these people think I'm pretty because I'm light skinned. And I really want to explain that. because I haven't always like viewed myself as a light-skinned woman. I don't think I ever like viewed and saw my identity as light-skinned woman. Now, to explain that a little bit more, I want to segue into my Black experience here in America. Okay. Um, I am the child of two Black parents. Both of my parents are Black. I'm also the lightest of all my mother's children. All of my siblings are either maybe a shade or even a lot darker than me. And my mother has albinism. And just to define albinism really quick, it is the congenial absence of melanin in an animal or plant resulting in white hair, white feathers, white scales, skin, and even red or pink, purple or blue eyes. You would refer to these people as people with albinism. Please do not refer to them as albinos. In a lot of the world, it's very taboo, especially in Africa. They kill these people behind this. And so I really want to be very clear. These are people with albinism, okay? My mother is a person with albinism. As a light-skinned woman who grew up with a mother with fair skin, green eyes, and blonde hair, a Black woman with albinism, my image of Black beauty and colorism is so unique because I learned from a young age that we come in all different shades. I learned from a young age that I'm light skinned, but my sister is dark skinned, and we are both beautiful. One and the same. I never thought to myself, people are going to think I'm prettier than my sister because I'm lighter than her. Even though, of course, I learned this as I got older, when I learned about colorism, when I learned about racism, when I learned about pretty privilege and all of that. I understood how society would perceive us, but my perception of myself was never, I'm the light skinned token. I'm the prettiest because I'm the lightest. Like, no, I recognize that my mother has no melanin, none. And I saw how the world treated her. I don't think that my mother had pretty privilege and light skin privilege in the way that other people do in the Black community, because she has what people would consider a disability. She has what people would consider like an anomaly. So I spent many of my days letting people know and getting into arguments with other kids talking about your mom's white, no, my mom is Black. My mom is a beautiful Black woman. Okay. And I'm Black too. But I spent a lot of my childhood grappling with how people perceived me. And most of the time, it was other little Black girls. Most of the time, the girls who picked on me or didn't like me for whatever reason weren't girls from other races. They were other little Black girls who had colorism internalized in them in such a way in which we couldn't share any type of solidarity, even in the times when I really wanted to, because I never viewed myself as the light-skinned girl. I just knew I was Black. All I saw was kinfolk. All I saw was, hey, you're Black, me too. Not, oh, you're dark skinned, I'm light skinned. No, 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 no. It was always, hey, like, sister. Like, that's how I've always viewed it. Even today, I don't view myself intentionally through the lens of light skinned woman. I view myself through the lens of Black woman. So when I see another Black woman, I see myself. I don't see, oh, she's darker skinned, or I don't see any of that. I don't. I see another Black woman because I see myself in her. And because I like to think that when people see me, they see a Black woman. I like to think when people see me, they know that, I'm down for the cause. Like, I would like to think that, but I recognize when people see me, they may have a preconceived notion about me because I'm light skinned. They may think that I think a certain type of way because I'm light skinned. And there might even be people in the comments who say I'm not light skinned. Girl, look at the palm of my hand. It took a long time for me to come to terms with that. Even now, when my friends joke about me being cream of chicken in the wintertime, I always think to myself, well, in the summertime, baby, I'm gonna get this tan. I'm gonna be golden honey peach. Like, the idea of being darker has always appealed to me. And even as a kid, when I was a little girl, I actually wanted to be darker skinned. I remember there was one particular girl, her name was Patra. God bless you, Patra. I hope you're doing well. Beautiful, beautiful skin. And I always would look at her and think, she's so pretty. I wish I was darker like her. I wish I had her complexion. Whole time, these other little girls may have been looking at me like, ooh, They may be thinking the same thing, or they may be thinking, oh, she thinks she's better because she's light skinned, or she's stuck up because she's light skinned, or she has an attitude because she's light skinned. No, whole time, girl, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get tan in the summer so I can look like you. What the hell? Because in my mind, that was a semblance of Black beauty. And that was a semblance of Black beauty for me because I had Black women around me all the time that looked like that. That's who I was surrounded by. That's who my big sister looked like, you know? It's really important for lighter skinned people to surround themselves with people that are darker than them. And I don't mean like in a weird way, but I mean in the sense that you can appreciate the variety of our diaspora. You can appreciate the beauty of others, okay? There are some lighter skinned people who will only fool with people who look a certain type of way. There are some light skinned people out there who will only surround themselves with people that look like them, which is really a part of the problem. Because you can't appreciate the beauty of our diversity if you are keeping a circle full of people that look just like you and sound just like you and have the same mindset like you. You have to open that up. And I feel like it just says a lot about those people. Now I'm about to admit something, and it's going to sound so bad, but it's really just to show what colorism does to our community, okay? When I was a teenager, I only liked dark-skinned boys. Even now, I really have this affinity for beautiful Black men, beautiful chocolate men. And I always thought to myself, I really want to have children with a real rich, and I don't mean monetarily, I mean that, but also like dark man. Dark. I need them Black. Okay. And part of that was because I wanted these little chocolate milk dud babies. Because oh my God, they're so beautiful. And I knew, I'm like, okay, if I have a child with a lighter skinned man, is that gonna like in a way wash out our Blackness, our Black features? Like if I have a child with a white man, like what is that gonna do for my features? Like I'm barely hanging on sometimes, girl. And this really segues me into another thing within our community that I think is inherently harmful when it comes to colorism. We always talk about colorism under the terms of being harmful towards darker skinned people, which by definition is correct. However, it is also very harmful to light skinned people as well. And if you don't believe me, we can dig into these stereotypes. Just like there's a stereotype that darker skinned Black men are going to be tougher, they're going to be stronger, they're going to be more gruff. You know what I'm saying? There's a stereotype that light skinned men are going to be softer. They're not going to be as strong. They're going to be more feminine. Those things are real. Those things are very real. People really don't want to talk about the negativity and the harm that colorism has on lighter skinned people as well. I think when we talk about the harm that comes to light skinned people, there's always like a backlash, like well, you're benefiting. There's no way you're getting harmed. There's no way this is bad for you too. There's no way that your plight is worse than mine. Maybe not. And I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to argue that colorism is harder for a light-skinned woman than it is for a dark-skinned woman. But I'm also not going to argue that it's not hard for us both. I'm not going to argue that it doesn't inherently harm me too. Like, I'm not going to argue that. Because at the end of the day, colorism was designed to harm us all. Us all. It really doesn't matter how close the proximity is to whiteness. You'll never get there unless you are it. Unless you are it. Even the people who could pass, quote unquote, even the people, in my opinion, especially these days, the people who could pass, you can tell them from a mile away that they're Black. In my opinion, my mother could pass, but you look at her features and you can tell this is a Black woman. The only people who think that she can't pass is some naive white person, okay? But we can tell, okay? And so there will always be a part of you that is tied to us, that is tied to Black people. So the idea of passing just never made sense to me, like at all. Girl, I'm going on the tirade, mommy. Let me get back on track. What was I supposed to be talking about? My Black experience. I'm a Black woman, and I'm very proud to be a Black woman. When I was younger and I had that same pride, when I was like a teenager in middle school, when I had that same pride, the response was, oh, you're not Black enough. You're not Black enough. You're not, one of us. For real. And that was inherently like very harmful for me and very hurtful, more so, because the people that I went home to looked like them. My big sister is a dark-skinned woman. You know, my family, like my kin, my blood. These are the people that I see myself in. And so I never see myself the way that other people see me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a very, very, very proud Black woman. Like, I love the fact that I'm a Black woman. I think it is the most blessed, most fortunate thing. The most fortunate gift I've ever received was being born a Black woman. Like, and I really mean that in the deepest, deepest pits of my heart, girl. And so I've never had this thought or this idea that I'm any better than any of my darker skinned sisters because I have a or may have a closer proximity to whiteness, being a lighter skinned woman. If anything, I've wanted to move closer and closer to my Black community. And being surrounded by Black people is so important to me. Being in a safe Black community is so important to me. Being in a diverse Black community is so important to me because I can recognize my privilege as a lighter skinned woman. I can recognize my privilege even as pretty privilege would call it. Okay. But I cannot recognize myself in anybody else except for us. Except for us. What's funny is Cardi B had a line in her diss track about Bia that said, you know, I hate when bitches think they're pretty because they light skin. Which I thought that was so interesting considering Cardi B's ethnic background and how they view colorism. Which is fine. And not to say that she thinks that. I love Cardi down, but that's just to say, you know. And let me be very specific. I'm talking about Dominicans and some Puerto Ricans. It is like pulling teeth to get some Dominicans and Puerto Ricans to admit that they're Black. I don't understand that part. I don't get it. Maybe somebody in the comments can maybe explain it. Because what the hell? Like, why do y'all want to claim Blackness when it's beneficial? You can claim Blackness year round because you are Black, baby. But trying to claim it when it's safe for you is absurd. Okay? But that's beyond the point. Anyway, girl, there's so much more that I can say. I wanted to actually talk about the femininity content that we see on social media that had a big boom in the past couple years of women learning how to be more feminine. And I just want to say this. Those women who get online and talk about how to be more feminine, how to have a more feminine aesthetic, I really want you guys to admit one of these days that that ideology is rooted in misogyny and colorism. Because the only women that you guys are showing as feminine women are light-skinned women with curly hair who let their fucking shit drape off the shoulder like this and they got real tight collarbones, okay? Those are the only women that you guys are affirming as feminine and soft and just, demure. Those are the women that you guys are trying to push, and it's rooted in some bullshit. And I don't subscribe to that. That's propaganda that I will never, ever subscribe to, girl. I say all this to say that even as a light-skinned woman, my perspective on colorism still matters. It still matters. And how it impacts me, it also still matters. And I'm not going to say again that there is equity here in how colorism impacts us. But I am going to say that if colorism taught us to divide, then unlearning it really means having and holding space for every shade's truth and how colorism impacts them and how pretty privilege in association with colorism impacts how they view themselves, how they navigate the world, and how people treat them. There are people who interact with the conversation of colorism and how they talk about lighter skinned people in a way that is harmful. It is harmful, and it is a show of what internalizing colorism as a darker skinned person really can do and how it can severely deepen the divide. But I also can recognize too, girl, that when you are the light-skinned, green-eyed woman in the room, you have to recognize what type of privileges that you have, because the way that you navigate the world is not the way that your sister may navigate the world. And her perspective and how people treat her, how they talk to her, the type of respect that they give her may not even be the same. And girl, if you're not willing to admit that, then you inherently are using colorism in a harmful way as well, as a beneficiary. And that's fucked up as well. Girl la la. I really hope I expressed that in a good way. This is a tough topic for me because I feel like there's so much nuance to it. I used to say when I was a teenager that, you know, I may be light on the inside, but in spirit, I'm as black as I can be. And that's just how I feel. That's how I recognize. That's how I identify. And I wanted to be able to share that with a lot of, you know, my black brethren and sisters. I think now that I'm older, and especially living in Georgia and in the South where there are so many of us, it is easier. But I can absolutely say that when you go to other states, you go to other cities, it can be hard, especially if you don't have a big black community or a diverse black community or a black community at all, girl. I really hope that I explained all of that in a way that you guys can digest and understand. And I really want to talk to you guys about this. Please share your thoughts with me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you are. Please comment. Let me know how you feel, even if you don't agree with me, even if it's going to be a debate. I'm not going to debate with you, but other people in the comments will. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And I'm so sorry it came out late this week, but I'm always here for you guys, always loving you guys. And I thank you so much for supporting me. So until next time, I'll see you in the next episode, honey.